Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Borderline Podcast with me, your host, Andrew Willox. And tonight I've got another great guest for you, and I'm back to do local podcasts, and I'm so happy to be doing them. It's been a while. And tonight we welcome Kathryn Robertson from Kult Fitness to talk about fitness, motivation, Kult Fitness, and I'm sure we're going to cover much, much more. Kathryn, welcome to the Borderline Podcast. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me and asking me to be on the podcast. I'm excited but nervous.
And if anybody's not aware, obviously we had Lindsay Oliver on the show earlier in the year from also Kult Fitness, so it's good. It's great to have another member on.
Thank you.
My mum has been enthusiastically looking forward to this episode as well. I know that she's going to be listening on to this and she's going to enjoy it. So I guess for anybody that isn't a local and maybe is listening from wherever they are, could you just give us a little background of yourself, how and why you've got into the fitness industry, why you're so dedicated?
Yeah, so I'm Kathryn Robertson and I'm the owner of Kult Fitness. It's a fitness studio that's been running for just over 2 years and it's in my local town of Eyemouth. So I grew up in Eyemouth, I've always lived in Eyemouth. I tried to go to Edinburgh for a little bit and then came back. I've got family that's in Eyemouth, I've got kids that's in Eyemouth, so I'm very passionate about being in Eyemouth and offering as much fitness as I can to the local area. Kult Fitness is, like I said, it's only been running for 2 years. We've got a strong membership base and it is mainly women at the moment. It's not, I didn't intentionally start Kult Fitness to think it's a women's only gym, but that's the way it's kind of happened. So that's kind of where I am at the minute, kind of fitness studio, started it 2 years ago. And do you want to know about my past?
You can do, yeah. Let's go right back, yeah.
Yep, so I left school and I always wanted to be a PE teacher when I was in school. Always loved sport, always loved hockey, netball, tennis, always wanted to be a PE teacher. But I was rubbish at exams, hated exams, couldn't do exams, couldn't do the studying, couldn't do the learning for it. And I went to my first aerobics class with another local girl, Dee Fairbairn. She started up an aerobics class. Lindsay, who's my cousin, Lindsay Oliver, she took me when I was about 12, 13, went to the first aerobics class in the community centre at Eyemouth and I just fell in love with it. So when I left school, I went to do my HNC, HND at Telford College in health, fitness and exercise. And I got my qualification to teach classes and that's been me ever since.
Wow, amazing. That I love this because that was going to be my first question is were you active at school? I think it was in the year above you at school, so there's some very distant memory, yeah. And I love it when the first question gets covered by the guest. It's just much easier. Something that I was going to ask you there, though, that I picked up on was right at the start when you were introducing. You said that you lived in Edinburgh for a bit, but just didn't like it. Exactly the same, or you didn't say that you didn't like it, but yeah. I was exactly the same. Tried Edinburgh for a little bit. I love Eyemouth. It's nice and quiet.
I love the city life. At the time when I was there, I was 19, 20. I probably was there till I was about 22, back and forth to Eyemouth because it's only an hour up the road. I worked for Nuffield Health, I worked for Edinburgh Leisure, and at the time I was getting to see all the fitness stuff that was kind of, when I was doing it back in the early days, you didn't have social media as much, or probably actually not at all. So you could never see, now when you see fitness on social media, straight away everybody wants to do it. So if you're in Eyemouth, if you're in America, if you're in Edinburgh, London, you're all seeing the same fitness trend at the same time. Back in the day when I was 20, 21, what I was seeing in Edinburgh, we were not seeing a long time in Eyemouth. It was never heard of in Eyemouth until a lot later on. So I learned a lot when I was up in Edinburgh. You could see all the fitness trends quicker than back in a small town. I did a lot of one-to-one personal training then, whereas one-to-one personal training back in Eyemouth was non-existent at that point, and it's good to see that it's changed.
Yeah. I mean that's actually so true when you say like one-to-one training, because I think years ago it's just not something that you've seen anywhere.
I'd say 3-4 years ago. Now everybody's doing it. Like there's other local gyms that it's massive, and the last 2 years since opening Kult Fitness, a lot more people want to do one-to-one. But when I was doing it 10, 11 years ago, you wouldn't even understand what personal training was back in a small town like Eyemouth or anywhere else, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. So, what's that like? If you go back to obviously being really active, kind of falling in love with it, and kind of doing it for yourself, what's that like transitioning from somebody that you're doing it for yourself, but then all of a sudden you're now doing it for others?
Yeah,
Is that like is that rush still there? That you get it from yourself after you're coaching a class?
yeah, definitely. So my first aerobics class I taught was when I was 19 years old. So I did my course, I did my training, came back to Eyemouth. Back in the days, you had to print off posters and put posters up, and just hope that people would see the posters and come. So yeah, so I've taught classes for a lot of years. I still enjoy doing my own fitness. So like I'd say I like to do running, walking, that kind of stuff for myself. But there's nothing more that gives you a buzz when you're in that class environment, when you're teaching a class, when you've practiced and learned a routine and you see people loving it, and the energy that comes off them is that makes you still passionate. Like I'd say this is my 17th year doing it, and I'm still actually love it more now than I did back then. Probably more confident, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing. Big natural smile all over my face when you're explaining that, because like you say, that's just so natural. And it is. You'd get a massive rush, and you'd get that endorphin rush because, like you said, there you're seeing others enjoy it.
Yeah, and you almost get the energy off them. Like you feel the energy
Yeah,
coming off them, and it kind of bounces back. Like they're getting my energy, I'm getting their energy. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's really important as well. So, is there ever times that if you are struggling for motivation personally, do you then look to teaching classes as almost a rush, and that endorphin rush to kind of get yourself going as well?
100%. So the people will be laughing if they listen to this and come to my early morning classes. So we do a 6:10 class, and I'm every
Wow.
morning. Some mornings I walk in with a face like fizz, and I'm just can't be bothered, and I'm just looking at other people, and I just you're cold, especially if I was going out in the dark nights. But as soon as the music starts going, as soon as you've done the warm up, as soon as you see that people are wanting to go for it that morning, you just get into it, and there's never been a bad workout. To this day, I've never done a workout and think, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. But I always go thinking, I can't be bothered to do that.
I think anybody that works out gets that in the way that it definitively makes you feel better.
100%.
Whether that is coaching, whether that is doing, I always say it's about taking action. And there's that, even if you only last, 10 minutes and that's it, that's that level of self-discipline that you've put yourself under to be in that situation to begin with. So you should be proud of that and work on that. And, I think there's a misconception, I don't know if you'll agree with it, that people think that they're not fit enough to start getting fit. Is that something that you come across in coaching and teaching classes?
All the time. So we quite often now get like new people walking in. They're very nervous. They think that people are going to judge them. They think that they're not going to be able to do anything. And exercise classes have evolved. I mean, when I used to teach them at the very beginning, you had a set routine, and people just came in, and you just had to get on with it. You weren't getting options. You weren't doing that. And that's where exercise has changed completely. Nobody is thinking, why is that person here? And if you are thinking they're thinking that, they're not. Half the time, people are just so consumed in their own little bubble that no, you're never not too fit. And you always have to start at the beginning. That person that's in front of you that looks as if they're super fit, they had to start at the beginning. The person at the back started at the beginning. Everybody has started at the beginning before. And it's a discipline to keep going that will make the big difference.
Yeah, and like you say, once you manage that discipline, I always say that discipline then feeds into motivation all throughout your life. You'll start eating better because you'll be paying attention to the effort that you're putting in for yourself. You want the best results. Speaking about eating better, obviously you're saying that you're getting up incredibly early to do these aerobic classes. Do do you kind of like load up a little bit more of a diet on like more busier days, if that's the right way to say it?
Uh, Not really. I've been doing, so Cult Fitness opened 2 years ago. My kind of routine has been exactly the same. So probably, yes, at the beginning, 2 years ago, I probably had to change my diet because I went from working in a full-time job that was active, but not as active as then going and teaching all these classes again. Your body adapts and gets used to it. So I wouldn't say I have to fuel myself more to teach to teach my normal timetable that I teach during the week. I wouldn't say that I have to feel it anymore. But if I was doing extra training, like this year, I took part in a 50-mile run in Balmoral. I had to train and feed my body more because my body was obviously burning a lot more than what it did previously. So yeah,
50.
your body gets a certain level and then it gets used to it, and you either have to do something more, or if then it gets used to it and you want to lose a bit of weight, you then have to cut back other places, which we always don't like to do in the eating kind of thing.
I hated it. I always, well, no, to be honest, like I always struggled to put on size or on any weight. So I always found like what we'd call bulking is harder than cutting, if that, to use I guess they're old phrases now, or I think they are. Yeah, but just speaking on them phrases, and obviously you've 17 years you've been in fitness. Have you seen any trends along the way? Like you say, you've seen trends faster in Edinburgh and the cities and what they're appearing down here. Were you seeing any what you'd call like damaging or misinformation trends? Stuff that's out there that's advocating that the skinny physique more than anything, rather than health and fitness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. When I first started, and it's more talking about like more from a women's perspective, probably. When I first started, it was all still like it was big on the 500 calories, like the 1,200 calories a day diet, like
Yeah.
hardly eat anything kind of diet. The less you eat, the more you lose kind of thing. But in regards to the fitness kind of stuff, we were all to do cardio, and strength training was never really talked about. Again, going back when I was in Edinburgh, we were starting to see like classes like body pump. I worked for Nuffield Health, so we were doing classes for men and women, and we were using dumbbells, stuff like that. But when I was teaching back home in Eyemouth, it was very much a legs, bums, and tums class. So targeting legs, bums, and tums, even though you can't do a legs, bums, and tums class and suddenly lose weight from your legs, bums, and tums. That's not how it works. But that's the kind of classes people were still wanting to see. So legs, bums, and tums. A lot of cardio classes. A lot of people believed if you burnt 6, 7, 800 calories in a class, that was good to go. That was what you needed to do. You needed to burn as much as possible. The trends are now definitely starting to change. It's now about fueling your body. So you were asking me before, like, what kind of things do I eat to obviously do as much exercise I do. People are not trying to starve themselves anymore, or I hope not as many people are trying to starve themselves anymore, because that's not what you have to do. It's all about a balance, and it's about a balance that you can kind of stick to. There's no point in starving yourself Monday to Friday and then stuffing your face Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then starting again on Monday, because it doesn't work like that. You have to have a balance, and you have to have everything in moderation. That's what I believe, and kind of working out not to punish your body. I think when I used to teach classes at the very beginning, it was all about how hard could you work, how much could you sweat, how you were almost like killing people as they were going out the door. And I think that's what put a lot of people off coming to fitness classes. Now fitness classes are that varied. It's all about, you go to Pilates, you go to yoga, it's all about mindset, it's all about strength training. A lot of women should be doing strength training. I think a lot more women are doing strength training more. So yeah, the trends have definitely changed, and I think changed for the better. I think there's still some work to do, but they're definitely going in the right direction.
Yeah, completely agree. And you're entirely right in what you say. That I think females, even to an extent now, are still kind of pushed with that trend. But it is good to see progression in that. From a guy's perspective, just adding in there, I could buy into ideas of what would fix my goals quite easily. Bulk masses, having a protein shake that had 2,800 calories in one go and 105 grams of protein, and all of a sudden the expectation was I was going to go back to the gym and my bench was going to go up 20 kilos, my deadlift would go up 30 kilos. That's not how it works as well.
No.
You have to stay, your body grows slow, but I think you learn to love it that way because you learn to respect the work that you're putting in for it too.
Yeah.
And it's just a much healthier way of living. This is just my personal opinion.
No, 100% agree. No, 100% agree. We do a weigh-in class on a Wednesday night at Kult Fitness, and it's been running for just over a year. And my biggest thing, what I always say, is you need to chip away. You need to chip away at those numbers. They don't just fall off. And we're still quite bad as a population. Like, we want quick fixes. We think if we do X, Y, and Z for a couple of weeks, we're going to look like the people that we want to look like. That's not what happens. Those people are dedicated and they're coming week on week and they're doing X, Y, and Z. There's no quick fix. Anybody that says you're going to lose a stone, like when I first started in the industry, everybody that I personal trained one-to-one, you would ask them what their goals were, and everybody's goal was, I want to lose a stone. But it's like, why do you want to lose a stone, and what does a stone mean? And a stone, somebody losing a stone, like a man losing a stone compared to women, is women take naturally so much longer to lose a stone. But why do you even want to lose that stone? And it's just a random thing that everybody wants to say. Like, if anybody that goes on a diet, you will hear them say, I want to lose a stone, because they hear that, but I don't actually think they know what it means. And you don't just say you're losing a stone and it happens. It's so much more than that, and it takes so much longer, and it takes so much more dedication and time. Like, I don't think people realize how much time it actually takes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like in the reversal for me, try to gain size, that slow progression, you still see it. Like, you see it. Others might not acknowledge it in the way that you see it, but you see that progress. And like I said before, that dips back into the way that I can live my life sometimes when I'm really get back into fitness properly, because I eat good, I sleep well. I think I was speaking to somebody at work about today. I says, I know I'm doing well when I'm fueling my body all the time, because I feel really, really, really good. And it's just another aspect of fitness that I love, that it really does lay out your life for you.
That's
what it's so important.
That's what I've noticed a big, especially with opening Kult Fitness last 2 years. When I first started, people only came to my fitness classes because they were wanting to lose weight. People now come to fitness classes for so much more. It's for their mental health. Like, mental health's massive now in regards to fitness, and releasing endorphins is so good for your mental health. Coming to a fitness class will not make you lose weight, and I would never tell anybody that by coming to my fitness class or another fitness class you're instantly going to lose weight. That is not why you're at a fitness class. You're at a fitness class to build your strength, to prolong illness, to have longevity, to feel better, to look better, but it's not going to make you lose weight. What's going to make you lose weight is what you put in your body, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to hear that, and they don't want to not put the bad stuff in their body, but that's what's going to make you lose weight if that's what your goal is.
Yeah, absolutely. Like was mentioned a couple of times, it really does come down to that discipline. And let's talk a little bit about like Kult Fitness as well, because I hear a lot about it from my mum. My mum absolutely loves it, and I guess, what does, in a nutshell, Kult Fitness provide our little community here in Eyemouth, let's say, compared to years gone past where nothing like this existed?
Yeah, so it's a safe space. I'd say it's a safe space for people to come daily, weekly, and just to work out, and to work out in a group. I provide the fitness and I provide the healthy benefits, but if there wasn't the social aspect, I don't think people would come. Like, they generally, they make friendships. I've got a lot of elderly women that live by themselves now, and I think if they didn't have Kult Fitness, especially now that we're going into November, December, January, February, you're not seeing people as much because you're not out walking as much. Like, their winters would be long and their days would be lonely. I think, it's a safe space and it's very much a community space. And it has naturally become a women's space, but it's not just for women. Like, I would love to see more men come, but I think it is naturally for women, and maybe that's the way it is just now, but hopefully in the future it's something that, yeah, men are not allowed to come to Kult Fitness, put it that way.
I absolutely loved the way you described that, calling it a safe space from the outset. I love that term, and it just provides a really good understanding exactly what you're about and what Kult Fitness is about straight away, and that's a massive appeal. So what kind of classes for a week? The variations, what kind of stuff is happening down there?
Yeah, so there's a large variety of classes. We do Pilates, we do yoga, so that's kind of like your mindset kind of classes, your flexibility kind of classes. We do Zumba. I've just done a class before I did came on the podcast tonight called Box the Beat. It's like a punching kind of kicking class, but it's to music. So it's quite upbeat, quite good. We've got hit step classes. If I said Zumba, we've got the strength. The big thing this year is in 2024, I really wanted to focus on women lifting weights because a lot of my women wouldn't lift weights. So the strength training classes have been a massive thing this year. And I have got reformer boards. I've got 6 reformer boards. Nowhere else in the area has really got them. When I opened Kult Fitness, I wanted to have something completely different. So those that don't know what a reformer board is, it's basically like a bed with resistance springs, and you use the resistance springs to work out. So it's kind of like strength training, kind of Pilates moves, but it's non-weight bearing for most exercises, so you're not putting pressure on your joints. And kind of the bed kind of gets you in the right position. So if you're doing a squat, you're on the bed, but you're not, like, a lot of people find squats hard because they don't get into the right position. The bed puts you in the position, so then you're just focusing on the legs. So they've been really popular since they've opened, but I think I'm hoping 2025, 2026, a lot of people that haven't maybe used them yet might potentially want to come and use them, because you see them a lot on social media and they are getting more publicised, and we're quite lucky to have them in this area.
Yeah, amazing, because that's the first I've ever heard of that, and that was so fun, like, to learn. I had no idea that something like that existed. That's that's really, like you're saying about squats. It took me ages to squat safely. Safely is appropriate term that I'm using there, I think, with weights. And you're right, if you don't get into that position, you get put off of it quite easily. And again, when we're talking about, the motivation to keep on going, you really do want to kind of nail your form and be as little risk to injury as possible, so you can keep going. So one of the things that I'd read as well was chair-based classes, and that currently sounds very much up my street and interest. What is a chair-based class?
It's just, I've always taught chair-based classes. So when I worked for my last job and when I worked in Edinburgh as well, so chair-based classes for anybody that finds it hard to stand. So anybody that's brand new to exercise, or that's recovering from injury, or that would feel that they couldn't support themselves in a standing position, or they couldn't come down, like a lot of people find it hard to come down on the floor to exercise, for example. So rather than it being like you can't come to any classes, we just recently started a 5-week block chair-based class, and we've actually had a couple more men come to that class. It is more predominantly elderly people, but it's for people that are maybe post-operation, or people that are waiting on operation that want, so say you've got say if you're waiting on a hip or knee replacement, you ideally want to strengthen the areas before you go in for your operation, but to stand for a long period of time, or to get into a squat position, for example, would be hard. So that's, again, 2025, we're going to really try and push the chair-based classes, but they have started, and they're smaller groups as well, so it's not as daunting for people.
Sorry, I was like picking up my own reflection off my monitor there when you're explaining that, and again, just totally blown away. I had no idea that you guys did that. That's amazing, which completely encompasses where I'm going to go with the next question. And it seems like, the core, when I spoke to Lindsay as well, there's something for everybody down there. And there's that very much like holistic core principle
Mm-hmm.
that, everybody is welcome. There's something for anybody at any level, to whether it's starting or whether you even are an intermediate. You are kind of encompassing as many aspects of and covering as many people that you can help, essentially.
Yeah. And we're trying our best, like, but the next couple of years I really want to try and target more people. Like, there's so many more people that don't realize the benefits of exercise and that we're missing out. Like I said to you at the very beginning, I was 12 when I went to my first aerobics class, and it was the best thing I've ever done in my life at the time. And it's taken me all of these years, and probably for the rest of my life, like, I will always, and I can say this hand on heart, I'll always do fitness. It's something that just gets me through everyday life. If I'm having a stressful day or if I'm having something bad's happen, fitness is like my safety. It's something that I just go and do, or I go and teach my classes or whatever. I just go for a walk and I instantly feel better for it, and it kind of gets you through anything. And I want everybody to be able to know the benefits of that. So I've got a teen membership, which is £20 a month for the teens to come along. They can either come along with an adult or come along themselves. And I really want to try and push that a little bit more for 2025. We do have a couple of girls that do come along just now, and the change in them this year has been amazing. But I think it's important to get maybe more teens, more older adults, just anybody and everybody just doing something.
Yeah, you're so passionate, about when it's coming across. Honestly, it's so. Yeah, I just completely relate to what you're saying with the aspect of when you really aren't feeling too chipper about yourself, the way that a workout can just flick your mood and kind of switch your engine of a brain. That's the way that I'm going to call it, to a more positive vibe, essentially.
Yeah.
More positive in your feeling. That inner feeling that you get with that endorphin rush, like you say.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You feel like
so.
you can feel like you can tackle anything. Like, before I left, I did my class tonight, and then everybody was buzzing after the class because it is such a feel good class. And I was saying to a woman, I'm going to do this podcast. I'm really nervous, and she says, my mental health since I've been coming here is the best it's ever been, and it is true. Like, I don't think until you've tried fitness or tried fitness properly, the benefits of it. Like, I will say that forever. Like, the benefits of fitness is endless, and it's not about weight loss anymore. That can be a bonus, but it's not about weight loss.
Yeah, massively agree. When I'm at the gym and I'm doing my, I like a 5-day split, if I can manage it. It's been a while. But when I'm in that routine, I'm on it, and I know mentally,
Yeah.
I'm really, really, really good, and I'm doing better. I'm less anxious. I'm feeling good about myself. It's that positivity it gives you, and it's so, so, so important. And like you say, it's so important to get that message across to people that, yeah, okay, we all want to look better.
Yeah.
We would love that. That's hard, but what's easy, once you start, it becomes so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that first step of, walking into
It's
that
the
class.
first step. Yeah, it's the first step. It definitely is. We've tried a couple of beginners classes before. I've currently got small group training that I run on a Sunday, and it's a 6-week block. It's the same people for the same 6 weeks, and it's a smaller group, and that seems to be working quite well because you're stepping in, but you know that everybody's stepping in at the same time, and then the same people each week, so you build up confidence that way. It's really any way possible to get anybody through the door, because that first step is the most nerve-wracking thing ever. Like, I still get nervous, and when there's a couple of new people in my class, I'm nervous because I want to do a good job and I want them to keep coming back. So yeah, I don't think people realise that sometimes I'm nervous when I teach something. But yeah, it's the most nerve-wracking thing ever. I can imagine stepping in the door, but it's the best thing as well.
Yeah, it's the best step that you can take.
Yeah.
I like to say, you take a first step into the gym, you're doing the right thing. You're active, you're taking action, and you're acting in a little bit of discipline along the same way, and that alone can be commendable.
Yeah.
people don't need to go 110% all in to begin with. And like you said there, the fact that you're encompassing that, bringing in beginner classes, it's brilliant. I do hope you get a lot more men attending as well.
Yeah.
Because it's vital. Speaking a little bit more about mental health, the men's mental health, we feel good when we work out. It's, when we talk about testosterone, hormones, it's so much better for you. And I think I think men get a little bit lost with the word workout. I think straight away, being a guy, you think you've got to go lift weights. That can be a run, that could be an aerobics class, that can be a Pilates class, that can be a yoga class,
it can be whatever,
anything you want it to be.
And as well, like when all the women are in the group environment, we're speaking to each other, we're seeing each other, we're talking about things. I always think, like, when I think about some men, I think some of them are just going to work, coming home. Like, some people are working 9 to 5, going to their job, coming home, having their tea, and then sitting in front of the telly, and that's their daily routine. And I don't think men are as good at going to group situations as they should be, because being in a group environment, there's nothing better. Like, you see, like, oh, she's having a bad day as well, or he's having a bad day, or oh, his life just sounds exactly like mine. Like, it's almost kind of like you go to these group environments to kind of realize that you're not alone. And I think sometimes men, from, like you say, it's, you go to the gym, you go this, and yeah, you're seeing people, but sometimes men might just be going to the gym, and yes, we're doing good, and that's a good thing to do, but you could have your headphones in the whole time, you might not speak to anybody. And sometimes it's just, you just need to speak to somebody, and you just need to know that, hey, they're feeling exactly the same way as me.
Yeah, I really feel quite bad for people probably up at Sparta if they see me walk through the door, because they probably know, shit, he's going to disturb my workout. Yeah, you're right. It's a social place. It's a social place. And, seeing, I know we spoke about earlier, but to go back to that point, just because we're on that subject, is, like I've said before, my mum loves it down there because of the lifestyle it's given her. And when you're contributing and when you're getting this rush off of doing the class, and then you're seeing everybody after the class, that must stay with you for a while. That must be very, I like to use the phrase, really self-nourishing. It must be really good for you personally, yeah?
I've done it, like I keep saying, I've done it for a lot of years, but since opening my own business, and obviously you want your own business to do well and you want people to come back, but I've really focused in on how good, like, it, and I don't want to, like, I'm not bigging myself up here at all, like, I hate doing that, but the stories that you hear, and the lives that you actually are changing. Like, I've got so many 80-year-old women that come, and just seeing what they can do every day is, like, unbelievable. And I know if they didn't have that, like, they could be in their houses the whole time and not seeing anybody. And like seeing your mum, for example, I can remember the first day your mum came to the first class, and she's done the Great North Run this year. She's doing her Movember challenge. She does all these classes, and I remember your mum, just as when we're talking about your mum, the first class that she did compared to now, her journey is massive. Like, you can see the change in her massively. Like, she takes a lot of the harder options now. She would go for heavier weights, and that's one of many people. Like, there's so many different journeys, and it's so nice to see.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you should big yourself up, by the way. You totally deserve bigging yourself up. So we talked on, obviously, going into 2025. Do you guys do like challenges in that, though? Can we talk a little bit about them? Because that sounds quite fun.
We've done quite a lot. So the challenges that we've done this year, I'm trying to think, one of the best challenges, and that's, if anybody's looking for transformation for 2025, you can join us, or just you could do it yourself if you've got the motivation, especially women that are going through menopause. This year I've been working a lot on menopause and doing a course on that, weights training and walking. The difference when people did that, we did a 4-week weights and walk challenge. So you had to walk a certain minutes per day. So there was like a little planner for that, and you had to weights train 4 or 5 times a week. The difference in people's bodies when they focused on that for 4 weeks was the best transformation I've seen in a long time. And that wasn't like killing themselves. It was just like focusing on the strength training and the same strength program for the 4 weeks and walking. And that was the biggest. So that's what we're going to start 2025 in January, doing a challenge like that again, but for 6 weeks. So if anybody wants to join us, they're more than welcome. But yeah, we do challenges all the time. Like we did a walking challenge in September. We're walking and running. Some people went out and did their first half marathon, walking or running it. And you could do it over 1 day or you could do it over 2 days. So yeah, there was a couple of people. There was one girl in particular that amazed me. She had never run before, and then we did it over a month, I think. It wasn't long, it was only 4 weeks. And she went out and did it herself and did 13.1 miles by herself. And she had never run before. And I did the same challenge as her, but I was a week late because I couldn't do it myself. I had to wait on my friend that was poorly, so we did a week later because I could not have run myself, especially not 13.1 miles. Yeah. So she was amazing.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy impressive. I thought I was doing well at the Great North Run because I took a couple of months to get ready, not 1 month.
Yeah, we literally did. It was like a short, sharp. It was just after summer, right? Who wants to do this? And it was literally like 4 or 5 weeks. And yeah, we had an intense program. So yeah, we love a challenge, and it kind of creates this community spirit. The one with the walking challenge, there was quite a few girls that did the walking challenge, and they really bonded a strong friendship. Because they were out walking together. It was like they made a little group chatty, coming out walking, stuff like that. So that's really nice to see. So yeah, there's plenty more challenges next year. I've kind of got a few in my head already.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Putting some plans to work and horrible ploys of making people sweat. But I guess essentially, and I guess we could wrap this entire episode up in one question, is why should people try Kult Fitness? You know, why, if it's coming up to January, it's coming up to the new year, why should people give Kult Fitness a go?
Mm-hmm. I think if you're a beginner, or if you're nervous, or if you have done a lot of cardio and think, right, I want to try something else, or if you've got an injury, Kult Fitness is really good for, in the sense of you can work at your own level. So you can come in as a brand new person, never done exercise before, there's something for you. You can come in as an injured person and there's something for you. You can come in as a cardio junkie and there's still something for you. You can come in thinking, I've never lifted weights before, and there's something for you. There's something for everybody, and there's something for, like I say, I've got girls as young as 13 that come to the classes, and I think my oldest person is 84 that comes.
Yes. I
think that's the oldest person. Me and Lindsay were trying to work out. It was funny because me and Lindsay I had a new girl doing a taster of yoga the other day, and I said to Lindsay, come along and we'll see what the taster's like for yoga. Me and Lindsay were so sore and stiff holding these yoga poses, and here's this 84-year-old woman next to us, supple as anything, like pro at these poses, and it was actually it was so inspirational.
I love it. I love it.
So she was better than us.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah. Like I said, there's been a couple of surprises in this episode. I've been kind of blown away back. Running a half marathon with 4 or 5 weeks of training is impressive.
Yeah.
But an 84-year-old nailing yoga, I think, takes the biscuit.
Oh, she's unbelievable. She's honestly, this person is unbelievable. She still works as well.
Brilliant. I love it. I love it.
No, I'd say it's for anybody, and I'd say male or female. Especially, I'm big on Pilates now. Like I still love, there's still a place for every aspect of all my classes, but Pilates, especially if you want to improve core, if you want to have a good mindset, come and give Pilates a try. We're trying to think for 2025. Now that I've said on your podcast, it might happen. A lot of people have been asking for a men's only Pilates class. So I think that might be something that might be quite nice to try and introduce for 2025, because Pilates is very, very good for everybody, whether you're fitness, not fitness, anything. So yeah, that's the plans for that.
I personally would be very interested in that.
Good. You can be
The,
the first person on my list.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, like I've said it for ages. I'm a really bad sayer, and then eventually I'll become a doer. And
Yeah.
Pilates has been on that list for probably well over a year or two.
Hmm.
Because you're talking about there, it's so good for the mind. Or what I've
Yeah.
read, it's so good for your mental health as well. So
And
there's it's a
especially
draw. Yeah.
for not even just men, but a lot of people, and what I see in a 45-minute class or whatever, a one-to-one situation is a lot easier to kind of like focus in on one person. But a lot of people think they're doing the right thing, think they're connecting through your core's everything. And I think a lot of people think they're using it correctly, but they're not. And it's Pilates. If you want to improve your core strength for aspects of weight training, aspects of you're a footballer, rugby player, um, Pilates is amazing for that because you really
Yeah.
engage your core and strengthen it in ways that you wouldn't think possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely. I now that I've said definitely, I'm going to get hounded off my mother, so it will definitely now happen.
Your name's first on the list.
Yeah. Get on. I definitely want to give it a go.
No,
Eh,
a lot of my women have said, "Would you please do a men's only class for my husband?" So yeah, that's the plans for 2025. But I just say, Cult Fitness. There's no like barrier. Like anybody is welcome. Whether you want to come for one class a week, loads of people do that. You want to come every day, you're more than welcome to come every day. Anything like there's no and nobody makes you feel unwelcome. Like it's the friendliest bunch of people and nobody's judging you. And I can honestly say that. And that's not personally me that's created that. That's all my members that have created that kind of space where somebody new comes in and they're all over to them, making them feel welcome and making them feel like they're not a total outcast or beginner or anything like that. Because
yeah.
people laugh if they listen to this, but I still teach the same thing that we've been working on for 6 weeks, and the person that's come for 6 weeks will still not remember it. So if you're a new person, that person that's been coming for 6 weeks will not remember the routine either.
I'm terrible for stuff like that. I really struggled at high rocks classes and trying to remember because I'm not good at aerobic stuff and
Yeah.
remember where I should be. I always like to end an episode in the same way, and that is by asking the guests just to give any messages to anybody that's listening out there, wherever, maybe you don't feel that you're fit enough, maybe you don't know where to start, maybe you feel that you're too old. And can you give any words to encourage those people to come and try Cult Fitness, to get outside and to take that first step, and what that will do for them physically and mentally, and why that is really so important?
Yeah, I'd just say that nobody has ever regretted starting. Probably the person that's not started is the person that's regretting. Um, you're never too old, you're never too young, you're never too unfit, you're never nothing. There's no boundaries to fitness. There's something for anybody, whether it is coming to a class or whether it's going for a walk. Like there's no limit to fitness, and like we kept saying before, there's so many benefits. Like it's unbelievable, and it's for your mental health as well. Like everything in life is getting so much harder for people. There's so many more pressures. Like we've not spoke about pressures in life for people, but more than ever, there's so many pressures, and just getting out and taking part in some sort of fitness and coming to a group environment is the best thing ever. So yeah, I'd just say if you've not tried it, don't wait any longer because nobody I've ever spoke to has ever regretted starting some sort of fitness routine. Yeah. I think the only people that regret is the ones that don't continue and they wish that they had just kept going because we said earlier on discipline is again is a hard thing to overcome, but if you just do little and often you will make a difference to yourself.
Brilliant. And so well put. Sorry, I don't know why there was a delay, but why I couldn't say that word. um, I've loved this. I knew I was going to love this chat. I knew it was going to be really natural, and I knew it was going to be easy flowing because you're such a passionate person about fitness, and the one like core aspect that I'm taking away from that is how good a person you are. You know, you talk, no, honestly, you talk with such enthusiasm about others and why it's so important for them. And it's really, really, really cool. And it's really
Thank
nice to hear.
you.
And it's really,
Thank
really, really
you.
refreshing. And please do start bigging yourself up a little bit. And men listening, any men listening, men's Pilates classes, get yourself down with
2025.
me. You know, put the pressure on me. Get me down there.
It will change it.
It will. It will. Honestly, you know, give me a shout. If any men are listening and they want to give me a message to say, I'll come down with you, then let's do it. Let's do it once
Perfect.
it starts.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kathryn, thank you so much for coming on the Borderline
Thanks,
podcast
Andrew.
tonight.
Thank you.
I know that a lot of people are going to enjoy this one. A lot of people are going to have a laugh with this one. And a lot of people are going to take something really good away from this episode as well. Thank you so much for giving me a bit of your time tonight.
Thank you.
And honestly, I really do mean this. 2025, you'll absolutely nail it because you're doing the right things and you're making a difference. And yeah, you're obviously you've got this, like, and you're helping so many other people. And I'm running out of superlatives, so I think I'm going to end the episode there. Kathryn, once more, thank you so much for coming onto the Borderline podcast. For anybody that's listening, if you want to know a little bit more about Kult Fitness, there'll be some information in the episode description below. If you are interested in working with Kathryn, I'm sure that we can provide a little bit of information for that as well in the episode description. And likewise, if you do want to give Men's Pilates a shout, give me a shout. So for Kathryn Robertson and for me, Andrew Willox, this has been the Borderline Podcast. Good night.